Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you, as always, with my co-host, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Thank you for being here and joining
And
me.
thank you again for having me on 180 something, 18 shows or something.
Absolutely.
And I want to always say we greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And we are always praying that you are doing the best job you can under the circumstances. So thank you for showing up and thank you for being here.
Yes,
And our story for tonight is The Fox and Rabbit.
Fox and Rabbit. Oh,
Yeah, give out a little teaser right there, The Fox and Rabbit, told by George White. And that'll be in a little bit.
Yes. Okay, so the other week we talked about this book, Black Elk Speaks. Now, as we went through this, we discovered that he went to join up with Buffalo Bill on his Wild West show, and who wouldn't want that, right? So
right.
He's joined up with Buffalo Bill, and I'm going to put some of the stuff up here so we can.
And while you're doing it, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a new hero in Buffalo Bill. And the reason is because he went from scalping Indians in 1876, and within a couple of years, he had started this Buffalo Bill show and hired all the Indians. And I think that he went from the hate thing and forgave him and hired him. And so to me, he started the rodeo, and that started the powwow, but there was so much, the fact that it in a way he stopped the Indian wars because he gave the Indians a job.
He did, and when they really needed it, believe it or not.
So he's my new hero. I've been thinking about it, and there are a lot of people in this world that make a great change, and nobody has recognized the fact that he made a great change with his Buffalo Bill show. Not just showing off and all that, but I mean from taking white people to hating Indians, for them to go and pay money to go see the Indians. So I think I think what he did was fantastic. Anyway, okay, I'm done. But he's got my vote.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is the more I read about it, it's like they got to be Indians on the road doing a show, and they got food and money. They were earning more money than probably most of any of the Indians.
And most of the white people, actually, because you said that he was paying them $10 a piece each, men and women equally, and even gave a stipend to the children. So I mean, he didn't have to do that. He could have been a mean old man, but $10 a week back in them days was not a bad. That wasn't a bad gig, and. But the fact that he turned hatred into a family, and I'm amazed. Buffalo Bill, yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. He changed a lot. But we're going to be talking so Black Elk, he didn't have the greatest of experiences, sailing across the ocean and. Can you hear me? Susie Q says, can't hear you much. Is everybody hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you all right.
Huh. And maybe I'll have to plug this in. Hang on. I'm going to check my settings. Maybe it's got audio. Microphone. Testing. 1, 2. Yeah, sounds like it's good. Make sure it's all plugged in here. And try this. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
Okay. This is my headphones.
Clean your ears out, Susie Q.
If anybody else that can hear me or is.
Make sure your speaker's turned up.
Yeah. Okay. Witchy Moon says, I share a birthplace with Annie Oakley, who was a sharpshooter in Buffalo Bill's show. Yes. Anyway, this Indian that we're going to be talking about tonight, he said Annie Oakley was his adopted daughter. He liked her so much. Believe it or not. Is lower than Hawkeye's. But I can hear you. Okay. I don't know why my volume is so low. Speakers, microphone.
I can hear you okay. I mean, for what that's worth.
Choose which microphone. Looks like I got everything working. I don't know why it's so quiet tonight. I got the same plug that I usually plug in. It's yeah, I'm double checking, people. Microphone. Yep, same microphone I always use. Oh, okay. I hope that's better. I plugged it, unplugged it, and plugged it back in. Okay. AI, it's ruined it for me, right? That's right. AI has information. Yeah, the last show, man. I was doing a show about AI on the weekend, and okay, I hear you on my tablet, but it's always low for my phone. Okay. Scotty Boy says that we can still hear you. David's really loud. So you're really loud and I'm really soft. And I don't know
Well,
why that
I got a big mouth, so
yeah, and I don't know why this is. Echo cancellation. Testing. Mic oh, there it comes up. Mic volume. There we go. I turned the mic volume up. Is that better? Testing 1, 2, 3. It had me low. Yeah, maybe AI has not forgiven me. Yeah, I did a thing about AI and it knocked my computer out. It didn't like me. Okay, can everybody hear me better? I turned the volume up on the audio. Somebody let way lower now. It's lower? Scotty Boy says it's lower. Okay. How's that? Can you hear me now?
that's really low.
Now it's really low?
Yep.
Okay. I've never had this go on before. We'll just crank her all the way up to 200. Maybe it's this thing. Yeah, I got this thing. Got wrong. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now?
I can.
You can? Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. It doesn't even want to come up on the thing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Sorry, folks. We're going to get this fixed before. I just don't want to go through the whole show and then everybody's like, we didn't hear what he had to say. Okay, is it better now? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. It's still low. Okay, I'm going to try a different mic. Okay, let's go with this. Can you hear me now? Is this better? I hear fine off the computer mic. Where's the Fonz when you need him to go? Snap his fingers. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now, David?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I've been hearing you, so.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering if everybody better now, Scotty Boy said. Well, I want everybody else to be able to hear me. He says, yes, better now. Okay, well, we'll go with that. Either way, it's all good. Okay. let's see, where was I? Okay, we talked about a little our black elk. Now he went and he had, of course, Buffalo Bill. This was right after 1776, and there was a little bighorn, and we talked about the little bighorn, and then Buffalo Bill ended up having Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull came to work in his show, but there's a backstory about Sitting Bull, and tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the backstory, and we're going to present, because here we go. And here's Buffalo Bill, as y'all have seen before, Buffalo Bill and his Wild West show. And, here he is with the famous guy, Sitting Bull. Worked with him for 4 months. Now, after the 4 months, he went back to the standing standing ridge reservation. Anyway, so we're
Pine Ridge?
Pine Ridge. Maybe that's Pine Ridge. I got the thing here. Where did it go? I had it right here. Oh, here. There's the better picture of him. In color, too. Now, look how young Buffalo Bill is, because this is, 17, or this would have been 1880 or something crazy like that. 1880, 1890. Right in that era. Nope, wrong thing. Okay, but we're going to start out with this one. Come on. That. Here we go. Sitting Bull. We'll just give you the red flag story. And Sitting Bull, he was born in 1831 near the Grand River in Dakota Territory, now South Dakota, USA. He died on the 15th in 1890 on the Grand River in South Dakota, the Teton Dakota Indian chief, under whom the Sioux people united in their struggle for survival on the North American Great Plains. Of course, we all know that. He is remembered for his lifelong distrust of the white man and his stubborn determination to resist their domination. But still, there's more. Sitting Bull was born into the Hunkpapa division of the Teton Sioux. He joined his first war party at the age of 14 and soon gained a reputation for fearlessness in battle. He became a leader of the powerful Strongheart War Society and later was a participant in the Silent Eaters, a select group concerned with tribal welfare. So let's talk about this for a minute. This Strongheart Warrior Society was for brave individuals who, were strong at heart, and he was a participant in the Silent Eaters, which was a group of Indians that would go out and hunt and protect those who were less fortunate. So they were like the givers to a welfare group, like, okay, you're getting old, so he's gonna go shoot you a deer or a buffalo and bring it to your house. You see what I'm saying? Ain't that nice?
Yeah.
If you couldn't go catch a horse, he's gonna go catch one for you. He's gonna, help you, find a teepee. He's gonna help you find food or tools, or take care of you by this association of the Strongheart Warrior Society and the Silent Eaters group concerned with the tribal welfare. They were trying to make things better. I mean, we think of them as savages, like, maybe, you're too old, you're just going to die along the road, too bad. But they weren't like that. They had their own little way of doing things, and this was before welfare. And, the government here just says, here's some food stamps. They're saying, we're going to go get you some food. We ain't going to let you starve. Sitting Bull helped extend the Sioux hunting grounds westward into what had been the territory of the Shoshone, the Crow, the Assiniboine, and other Indian tribes. His first skirmish with the white soldiers occurred in June 1863 during the U.S. Army's retaliation against the Santee Sioux after the Minnesota Massacre, in which the Teton Sioux had no part. For the next 5 years, he was a frequent hostile. And with that, I want to say so he didn't fight the U.S. soldiers until 1863. He was born 1831, so he's like 35, close to 35 by this time. See what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he just, jumped the boat and said, hey, whatever. Let's see. In 1868, the Sioux accepted peace with the U.S. government on the basis of the Second Treaty of Fort Laramie, which guaranteed the Sioux a reservation in what is now southwestern South Dakota. Okay, and the gold was discovered in the Black Hills. Now, there's a backstory on this part, too. Now, Red Cloud, he was a famous Indian chief, and he made a treaty basically saying that the Dakotas were the Sioux's land, stay out, right? And they honored that for a while, but when Red Cloud signed the treaty, the white man put in fine print, as always. In the fine print, he put in there, listen to this, and if I can remember it exactly right, as long as the buffalo roamed on the plains, the treaty would be honored. Okay, but once the buffalo started disappearing, oh well, we're not honoring the treaty anymore. You see what I'm saying? It's in the treaty, and so when they sent people out there to hunt buffalo, of course the government wasn't going to stop all those guys from shooting all those buffalo, because they knew that soon as the buffalo were gone, that the treaty could be broken at any given point in time. And the Indians just did not understand that because they weren't lawyers. You know what I'm saying? So, but when gold was discovered in the Black Hills in the mid 1870s, a rush of white prospectors invaded the lands guaranteed to the Indians by the treaty. Okay, there's a lot in this part. Custer went out there, broke the treaty with a garrison of troops, went out to the Black Hills to discover the gold. And once he discovered came back with the results of his gold findings, well, the government had good reason to, get rid of all the buffalo, to break the treaty. And then soon after that, because see, he's going in there in the 1870s, and by 1875, those who had been resisting the whites' incursions were ordered to return to reservations by January 31st, 1876. So do you think those Indians had a calendar on their wall saying, oh, the day has come, I gotta go, it's January? You know what kind of weather you got out here in January?
Yeah.
You're not going. You best have traveled a long ways a lot earlier, because you're not going to the res. And besides that, by this time, by 1870, between 1872 and 1874, most of the buffalo were shot off and gone. There wasn't many, buffalo like there was anymore. And the Indians, some of them went to the reservations and some of them didn't. Like Red Cloud went to the reservation, but Sitting Bull said, no way. And a bunch of people, because he was one of the first Indians he was one of the first Indians to be considered chief of all the Dakota, which I got a slide for that too, somewhere here. And that is, where's Sitting Bull? Okay, and that's the wrong one. All of these are everybody writes stuff about these. Okay. He was the first man to become chief of the entire Lakota Sioux Nation. In 1860s, Sitting Bull emerged as one of the fiercest opponents of white encroachment on the Sioux land. His resistance usually took the form of raids on livestock, hit-and-run attacks against military outposts, including several against Fort Buford in North Dakota. Knowing that the Indians required unity to face down the might of the U.S. Army, Sitting Bull's uncle, Four Horns, eventually spearheaded a campaign to make the war chief the supreme leader of all autonomous bands of the Lakota Sioux, a position that had never been before existed. Sitting Bull was elevated to his new rank sometime around 1869. Other hunting bands later flocked to his banner, and by the mid 1870s, his group also included several Cheyenne and Arapaho. Okay, so with that, where is the Black Hills and where is Fort Buford? And then we're going to go to that right away. So, okay, and this is the Black Hills. Why are the Black Hills black? Black Hills. This is Wyoming. This is my own picture. I took it when I went out there to visit in the middle of winter. The Black Hills, named after the dark green carpets of pines that cover the hills, are a geological wonder, covering some 125 miles north to south and 65 miles east to west. The hills rise 3,000 to 4,000 feet above the Red Valley floor. Below you are Salt and Beaver Creeks, where the bur oak grows. Above the valley floor, ponderosa pine and aspen groves cling to the limestone cliffs, clay soil and red sandstone. History, geology, and wildlife are alive and well in the Salt Creek Valley. The Sioux believed that the Great Spirit lived in these hills. Pioneers came here to mine for coal and oil. Small towns nearby Cambria sprang up as fast as they were deserted. Tales of gunfights, stage robberies, and gambling are kept alive by those who never left. White-tailed deer roam through the pines and aspen. Wild turkeys scratch through the leaves and the needles along the creek bottoms and in search of acorns and seeds, brought here from New Mexico in 1848. Turkeys are now the most widespread game bird in northeastern Wyoming. These shy, elusive birds don't let humans get too close. At night, they roost in the treetops and return to the ground at daybreak to forage. Watch closely and you can see one of these magnificent birds. And if you haven't seen a wild turkey, well, shame on you. But anyway, this is a outlook of the valley. I was there. This is a wintertime outlook of the Black Hills and the valleys, and it's really pretty out there. If you can see, look at all the pine trees, big ponderosa pines. It's beautiful. It is beautiful out there. Maybe I'll have to go out there in the summer and take some pictures. But anyway, now we got, so that's the Black Hills. That's the land that he's trying to protect, right? And here is Fort Buford. And we'll start with this. Oh, I got more pictures here. Fort Buford. Fort Buford. This is an important site. Now, I just said that the Sioux and Sitting Bull had raided this fort and fought with them. And it says here, Fort Buford was named for Major General, and I was there, so I took these pictures myself. This is cool. Fort Buford was named for General John Buford, a Union commander in the Battle of Gettysburg. The establishment of the Fort Buford in 1866 safeguarded the territory surrounding the confluence of the Missouri and the Yellowstone rivers and served as a supply depot for soldiers operating further west. Over the winter of 1866 and 1867, Fort Buford's garrison was repeatedly harassed by tribal warriors, angered by the establishment of the fort. Post Surgeon James P. Kimball noted that these raids were led by the Hunkpapa leader Sitting Bull. Following the first winter, Fort Buford's garrison was strengthened and additional troops over the next decade. Fort Buford went through 2 expansions and eventually housed 6 companies of soldiers. Fort Buford frequently served as a detention area for tribal leaders and their followers who had fought placement onto reservations. Among the prominent tribal leaders held at the fort were Chief Joseph, We know him of the Nez Perce, Crow King, Rain in the Face, Gall, and Low Dog. The last to be detained at the fort was Sitting Bull in July of 1881. In later years, Fort Buford soldiers not only provided general security for the area, but were also assigned specific tasks such as guarding railroad construction crews, constructing telegraph lines, and guarding railroad property. During the Putnam strikes of 1894, the fort was officially abandoned on October 1st, 1895, after almost 3 decades of service. And there you can see, now this is, the fort is not all together. It's buildings here and there, and it is pretty. It's pretty cool to go out there and see. They got wooden walkways and explain where everything is. I didn't get to go into the buildings, but it's really cool to walk around and check things out. You know, it had a telegraph office. It was one of the first to have, you know, back in 1878. The arrival of the telegraph greatly enhanced the speed and ease of communication from Fort Buford. Prior to the telegraph, communications with the states and other frontier posts was sometimes irregular and infrequent. Here we go. This building here was constructed in 1871 as the post commanding officers' quarters and served the capacity of, in 1889, when the new commanding officers' quarters were built near the north side of the post. The single most important event that occurred in this building was the formal surrender of the Humpapa leader Sitting Bull. This event helped end warfare on the northern plains. On July 20th, 1881, Sitting Bull met in this building with Major David H. Brotherton, Fort Buford's commander. At Sitting Bull's side was his young son, Crowfoot. Sitting Bull gave his Winchester rifle to Crowfoot and told him to give it to the rifle to Major Brotherton. And he said, "I surrender this rifle to you through my young son, who I now desire to teach in this manner. Now that he has become a friend of the American people, I wish to teach him the habits of the whites and to have him educated as their sons are educated. I wish to be remembered that I was the last man in my tribe to surrender my rifle." And there you go. And there's some more things that are around the fort. And I think they're working on it all the time, but that's a cool, big cannon. Can you imagine being an Indian and they're firing a big cannon like that at you when you just got bows and arrows? Well, that would get you. Watering trough made out of half a barrel. An old hand pump. That's pretty cool. So if you were Sitting Bull, you're walking up to this building and you're surrendering yourself. There's some old buildings out there. They didn't make houses very big. You can see this is the office of the guard. The officer of the guard building lives here. He didn't get a big house. Back in the day, smaller the better, because you had to conserve for heat in the winter. There's the barracks for the garrison. They had a big parade ground. You can kind of see by this photo here what it kind of looked like. There was a lot more buildings, and then they had a huge parade ground. And of course, they had to take care of all the horses and things that would be out there. It's just a big, giant, empty, open field when I was there. In the last years, by 1870, the 24th and 25th Infantry Regiments, these people were from the cavalry. These were a lot of these guys that were shipped up to Fort Buford in that time were black people, as you can see. They did a lot of the work. They did the guarding. They did, all the things that it was pretty much a black man's outpost, believe it or not. Buffalo soldiers. That's what they call them, buffalo soldiers. Yeah, now we're back to that. Okay, now we can go down to here. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, before you started with what fort was that?
Fort
Buford?
Buford. Yes.
Okay. But it's in Wyoming, right?
No, that's in North Dakota, just up the road from me.
Oh, I saw on the sign, I thought it said Wyoming.
Yes, that was the I went to the Black Hills, and you got it. Black Hills go all the way into Wyoming,
Oh, they
and
do?
yeah, all I mean, it's just Black Hills aren't just a little chunk of land. I mean, it goes. I went through South Dakota and Wyoming, the edge of Wyoming there, and the Black Hills, and the sign came up and looked out over the valley, and I took a picture of it.
Huh.
That's not
Well,
that is
we drove all over the Black Hills when we went out there.
yeah.
And but I didn't know that it extended to Wyoming.
Oh
That
yes,
that
yes.
that's the question I wanted to ask, because it was like yeah, we camped there in overnight. We went to see the faces on the rock.
Yes, yes, that's
And
the Black Hills. Okay,
right.
so the thing is 3/4 of South Dakota is pretty much empty flat prairie land. Okay, once you get past that, and if you were driving, you probably noticed all of a sudden you're just this flat rolling hills, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's some hills, and all of a sudden there's trees everywhere.
Yep, when we pulled into the Badlands heading west, stopped and looked, and you could see off in the distance the Black Hills.
Yes, yes,
I mean, from a long way off, you can see the Black Hills just
yep.
standing up, and you keep driving west, and they keep getting taller.
Yeah, and that's
Rapid
exactly.
City is where we started encountering some of the hills.
Yeah, that's about halfway, 3/4 the way through. Like I said, and then once you get past that, then it starts getting into um, treed area. Now you're into the area where there's the Black Hills are actually at, and that's why I took that picture, because that was the only one I could find that represented it really good. I mean,
Yeah.
but like I said, that was how I figured out what are the Black Hills. And I was taking a trip to Colorado. I'm gonna shrink this. I was taking a trip to Colorado, and I was coming through the corner, the far southwestern corner of South Dakota, and then you go into Wyoming, and then this is the sign I found. So there you go. And as you can see by the next picture, that's why I said now you can see why it's the Black Hills. They kind of look dark with the pines, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they're black. So kind of cool. Kind of cool. That's how they got their name. Like you said, you can see them off in the distance. They look kind of dark. Okay. Now where was I? Okay. Remember how Indians get different names?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he was originally named Jumping Badger. Sitting Bull was born around 1831 to the Humpapa people, a Lakota tribe that roamed the Great Plains and is now the Dakotas. He was initially called Jumping Badger by his family, but earned the boyhood name Slow for his quiet and deliberate demeanor. Now, when they say Lakota, there's Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota. So there's three different ones. The future chief killed his first buffalo when he was just 10 years old. At 14, he joined the Humpapa raiding party and disguised himself by knocking a Crow warrior from his horse, or distinguished himself, I should say, a Crow warrior from his horse with a tomahawk. In celebration of the boy's bravery, his father relinquished his own name and transferred it to his son. From then on, Slow became known as Tatonka Litonka, or Sitting Bull. I guess that's how I say it. Okay. He was the first man to become Chief Sioux. We did that one. Sitting Bull had a spiritual premonition of his most famous victory. And through many remember as a warrior, political leader, Sitting Bull was also a Lakota Washishu Wakan means a holy man, or what or what's on the tip of my tongue? I can't. My brain
Medicine
went.
man or a shaman?
Medicine. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I was like, I got a picture in my head, and just the words wouldn't come out. A type of holy man believed to have a gift of spiritual insight. That's why I got you here, David, because I would be so lost without you. He
Tell
had
me the
this
other
great.
part of your brain.
Yes. He had this vision during a Sundance ceremony in the early of 1876, June of 1876. So here's the thing, we did shows on the Sundance, and that's no fun thing. I mean, they're piercing you, spinning you around. You got no food in you. You're starving on a fast. It's crazy. You're having these visions, and this is what he ended up with. He made 50 sacrificial cuts to each arm. Can you imagine 50? Ugh. And danced for hours before falling into a trance. When he awoke, he claimed to have witnessed soldiers tumbling into his camp like grasshoppers falling from the sky. A vision he interpreted to mean that the Sioux would soon win a great victory just a few weeks later on June 25th. The prophecy was fulfilled with Lieutenant Colonel George A. Custer's 7th Cavalry attacked the encampment in which is known as the Battle of Little Bighorn. Spurred on by Sitting Bull's vision, the numerically superior Indians surrounded the Bluecoats, completely obliterated Custer's containment of over 200 troops. Okay, here's the one thing they didn't tell you as I researched this. His vision came in two parts. One part was he seen the soldiers falling like grasshoppers, right? The second part of the vision told him not to take anything of the dead soldiers, or the Sioux would lose all their power. Okay? But what happened after they killed all the soldiers? They stripped them bare. Took everything they had, their clothes, their things, their guns, you name it. They went out there and scavenged through those guys left and right. There wasn't nothing left. They even cut off their fingers and things like that for, ornaments. Scalped them all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he tried to tell them, whatever you do, let's not take their stuff. And once they're dead, just leave them. But they didn't do it. So the prophecy came true, and the Sioux fell. And that was their last greatest victory ever. Okay, back to Annie Oakley. Witchy Moon, this one's for you. He considered Annie Oakley his adopted daughter. In the years after his surrender, Sitting Bull had hailed as a minor celebrity by the same country that had once branded him an outlaw, thanks to Buffalo Bill. He found people were willing to pay $2 just for his autograph. And in 1884, he was allowed to leave the reservation to tour as the star of his own exhibition show with Buffalo Bill. During a stopover in Minnesota, he took in a performance by the famed lady sharpshooter, Annie Oakley. Sitting Bull was hugely impressed by her marksmanship, and the two became fast friends. After he requested a photograph of her, and I'm going to stop right here. The photograph. He requested a photograph with her, right? He paid her $65 to take that photograph with her. And back in those days, $65 was like,
$650.
No, it was like $6,500 today. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he paid her a huge sum of money, but they never tell you that. You got to really research it to find that out. Okay, the old warrior nicknamed Oakley Little Sure Shot and insisted on unofficially adopting her as his daughter. To seal the arrangement, he supposedly gifted her a pair of moccasins he had worn during the Battle of the Little Bighorn. There you go. Of course. Anyway, things. Okay, 4 years. So Sitting Bull spent 4 years in exile in Canada. Now, after the Little Bighorn massacre, there was nothing, no place he could really go. They had troops out everywhere hunting him down. So he went north, crossed the border. There was still buffalo in Canada, people. So he went up there where the buffalo herds still roamed. They were dwindling, but there was still buffalo up there. So he went up north, which is even colder than South Dakota.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it wasn't no fun. But after the embarrassment at the Little Bighorn, the U.S. Army doubled down on its efforts to defeat the Plains Indians and force them onto reservations. Sitting Bull refused to submit. However, in May of 1877, he led his followers across the border to the safety of Canada. He would spend the next 4 years hiding out in the lands of the grandmother, as he called Queen Victoria. But the disappearance of the buffalo eventually drove his people to the brink of starvation. Yeah, so the buffalo were disappearing really fast up in Canada, and he went to Canada. Now, this isn't just like, I'm going to cross the border and life is going to be good. This is, I'm going to cross the border, and guess what? There's a lot of other Indian tribes living up there already. And they didn't want him there. They're like, these are our buffalo to eat. We got, these are you're killing our stuff off. There's no room for you. You got to remember, Indians take up a lot of room because they need hunting grounds. And if you get a tribe of, 200-300 people moving in, they're going to eat a lot of food, right? And when they do
Yep.
that,
They're gonna put I can't think of the word. They're gonna put a burden
yes,
on
strain on
on
resources.
yes, on the
Yeah,
resources. That's that. So where there might be enough deer for the folks already there, you move 200 extra people in there. There goes the deer population.
yeah, exactly. Prodded along by the Canadian and American governments, many Sioux refugees abandoned the camp and crossed back into the United States in July 1881. Sitting Bull himself and the last holdouts followed suit and surrendered to the American authorities in North Dakota at Fort Buford, where we just the aging chief spent most of the next 2 years as a prisoner before being assigned to Standing Rock Agency, the reservation that remained his home for the rest of his life until they killed him. Let's see, this one's about the Little Bighorn. Following the route at the Little Bighorn, many people credited Sitting Bull with having masterminded the Indian victory. Some even claim that 45-year-old had once attended the military academy at West Point, which is funny because in this book that I got, this book right here called Sitting Bull, it's supposed to be his Sitting Bull and Indian War. And in here, the first few chapters talk about the life of Sitting Bull, and it talks about how he went to the West Point Academy. But I don't think he did. But while Sitting Bull was active in protecting the camp's women and children during the attacks, he seems to have let the fight to the younger men, most of whom battled in disorganized groups. The Indians were no doubt energized by Sitting Bull's prophecy, but the main heroes of the day were his nephew, White Bull, and the Ogallala Lakota warrior, Crazy Horse, who led a charge that supposedly split the soldiers' lines in two. And there you go. Did that one. And he was born 1831 and died in 1890. He was actually killed. Didn't just die. He was killed. Okay.
How was he killed?
He was killed by Indian agents, police agents. Oops, why did I put that one away? So they were doing that ghost dance, right?
Oh yeah.
And they believed that Sitting Bull was behind most, encouraging it. And so to quell the whole thing, they decided to go over there and arrest him and haul him away. And they, of course, it wasn't the white man who did it. It was these agencies or reservations like to employ other Indians as police. So they police themselves, right? And they'd
Right.
have,
That they still do that to this day. They got tribal police on the
yes.
res.
So here's the bad part is the tribal police were made up of Crow and other tribes that really didn't like the Sioux, especially Sitting Bull. Um, and they had it out for him in the first place. I mean, here's my enemy, and you're telling me to go arrest him and what, be nice to him? No, they're going to go there, and the first sign that he was going to cause a skirmish or anything, they just, shot him and stabbed him and killed him and everything. And then they went ahead and they just didn't kill him. They killed his son and who's hiding under the bed, drug him out and killed him too, and whoever else was there. They, you know what I mean? It wasn't a like they were going to arrest him. I think they were just going over there to get rid of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the massacre. Because um, the feeling was if you killed the father and not the son would grow up and seek revenge.
Yes, yes,
So
exactly.
you killed the son and probably the wife too, because she could seek revenge. And so you killed him because of that, which is a dumb reason, but not really, because watch some of those old westerns where these people, lost a loved one and they hunt them down. So, but
Yes.
anyway,
Yeah. Well, that's how they kind of got rid of him, is they sent those tribal police over there, and things went badly. But um,
it sounds like what the Senate did to Julius Caesar. The Ides
exactly.
of March, come on in, and then everybody took a knife and stabbed him.
Pretty
So
pretty
not
much.
one of them would be guilty.
Yep.
And but so here are these tribal Indians. They're like, yeah, we'll look around, yeah, let's get him. So, but anyway, that listening to the story, I read something about Julius Caesar here in the last couple of days and the Ides of March, and I was like, man, they just went in there and just tore him up.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. See what I was gonna say. Oh, so you got what was I gonna say? Oh, so anyway, to show, I got a story for you about Sitting Bull to show his bravery. So he was in a battle with the crows, right? And there was a crow chief and there was Sitting Bull. And they, got off their horses and ran towards each other. And one of the crow, he knelt down uh, and fired his gun at Sitting Bull as he was running, and he hit him in the toe. Missed him, but hit him in the toe. And Sitting Bull kept running, and then he fired his gun and killed the crow chief, or hit him. I don't know if he killed him right away, but anyway, he hit him with his gun, and then he ran up to him and stabbed him in the heart with his knife. That is, pretty brave. Somebody's pointing a gun at you and hits you. You don't stop and say, ow, you just blew off my toe. You keep running and then, shoot your enemy, and then you go up there and stab him. And then, of course, he scalped him, and then the crow ran off, and then to the day he died, he had a limp to the day he died because of the toe that got shot off or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's something. But Anyhow, I got one excerpt from this book. I got the Sitting Bull
So
and
they changed his name in the later days to Nine Toes, right?
yeah, yeah. If he
I'm
wasn't such
kidding.
a,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm sad.
That's why he sat around all the time because he had his toe blown off. Never mind.
Maybe. Well, I think it probably if he wouldn't have been such a good chief, he probably would have been renamed. And here, I got this whole book, and I'm probably going to do another story on it because I haven't finished reading the whole thing. But I wanted to read a little bit out of here because this is the life of Sitting Bull, it's called, and he's talking about. We're just going to talk about how things are going with the Indians. Okay, today I am very glad about the good news for my home for the future. Today I am very glad because I was told that those who had houses could not have their land stolen by the whites. When we started to make fences, the white people told us not to, for it is of no use, for we will be sent away. We are in a poor condition. It is getting cold. The Indians are shivering. They would like to get their blankets now, not next summer. If I talk all I want to, it will be morning before I stop. But I will only tell a little bit, referring to the new God. And I want the soldiers and all of the people to listen well to what I have to say. I went to Washington myself some time back. I saw the Great Father, and I came back and told my people what I saw. When I was in Washington, the Great Father told me I must not fight, but I must love the people here. Now this same thing has been told to me again. I did not see at first, but after being told these things, I went around among the people and told them and thought then I would settle down. When Upshaw went away, I asked for a pass, and Upshaw was crazy. He would not give it to me. I was told about the new god of the Arapahoes. It was the Shoshones and the Arapahoes that went over to this place and saw this new god. They saw a holy man, and he talked nice words. The Arapaho told me that if we would listen to this new God, he would take away all the bad things and give us the nice things. Up to this time, I did not see the new God, but I have traveled, and the snow was very deep. If this God tells the Indians not to fight with the whites, then we will not do so. I went on the train, traveled a long distance, and now I will tell you what the God says when we got there. I was told the soldiers many times, and I do not see why they don't know. I am going to tell about the dance. When this new God saw me, he called us all to come to him. He said, "My children, I want you to listen. I want you to listen well to it. The God was glad that I came to see him. When the Indians were created, they were made bad. But the badness is to be thrown off, and they are to be made good. If they listen to him, he will change all their condition and make them good. Everything is now very old, and there are now very few Indians. Our dances were bad, and the God has given us a new dance. We must not get tired dancing. Everyone must dance, the young and the old, the men and the women, and the boys and the girls. 4 nights in succession we must dance, and then on the 5th day we must dance when the moon is just round. When we are through dancing, we must go to our homes. If we dance this way, we will never get tired.
Not now.
If we dance, our gardens will grow nice, and we will never get sick or crazy. We cannot quarrel or scold each other.
Not
We
now.
must not hate each other. We must love all
That's
the world. The new God said, "My children, listen to me. The one that does not listen to me will die. If the whites or the Indians do not listen to those, they will die." That is what he said. If anyone asks me, I must tell what God said. I must not tell lies. The lies are not good. The God hears everything that is said about him. If the soldiers won't let us dance, we must dance anyhow. We must dance even if the soldiers beat us for it. We must not let the soldiers see the dance. First, God made the white man, and he said was nice. After that, God went to heaven, and after a while came down on earth and talked with the white man. The white man was afraid of him. He saw him and abused the God, and he did not do anything to the white man or get angry. And then he nailed him on a cross and cut him in his heart and abused him. Then the God said he was going up to heaven again. All this was concerning the white man. The whites worked 6 days, and on the 7th they must tell about this God. This God said if we lived good lives, we would not become poor. When this was finished, he went up into the heavens. Before he went up to the heaven, he said he would be back and come back for the Indians. The Indians must not abuse him when he comes as the whites did. That is what he said. Okay, and I'm going to end right there. And that is I think, the reason that they got rid of him about the ghost dance is because he's there talking about we must dance. I went and seen this, so he must have went and seen like another shaman or a medicine man or a preacher of a priest of some sort, and got this idea to dance, and that the Indian is bad and we got to be good. He said that we got to do this, and then my garden will grow because I'm starving. And I gotta, because it all boils down to food. They're hungry. There's no buffalo. The government isn't giving him any blankets. He's freezing, he's saying. The soldiers are, mean, and they're not, letting him dance. And he's telling we can't let the soldiers see us dance. We gotta dance all day and all night and on the full moon, and then we can go home, and then you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
no wonder why this was kind of, somebody started this idea and he was trying to follow through with it. So
well,
anyway.
The white people were really, really scared that the natives had some kind of supernatural power.
Yeah.
They thought that the Indians were like the Jamaicans, or some of them folks in the islands where they do voodoo, and so I don't know where they got the idea that it was like voodoo, but when they discussed when they heard what the ghost dance was all about, they freaked out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that it wasn't about the natives dancing. Excuse me. It was about the natives dancing the ghost dance. Mm-hmm. So because they didn't know what the ghost dance really looked like, they told them they couldn't dance at all.
Yeah.
So, and the ghost dance was to get rid of the white people on Turtle Island. That the white people would be wiped out, and the land would come back to the Indian. And so, of course, the white people are going, what? You guys are dancing to wipe us out? Well, we ain't going to do it. The Great Spirit's going to do it. What? So here's all these Christians, and they're looking at these savages, and they're going, oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God. They're gonna call upon God or whoever their God is, and he's gonna come down and smite us all and send us back, to Europe. So, but anyway, they were really scared about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially the powers that be. Like we've got folks, nowadays, like I mentioned something in a video I did about 2 weeks ago. And, YouTube put me in YouTube jail for a week and took the video down. And I was not professing anything, but I said, I mentioned something about the face, and that was all there was to it. And they nailed me, so it's like, oh yeah, they're watching us. And oh yeah, they want to control the narrative. And oh yeah, you better not speak out against them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, 100 and some odd years later, it's still going on.
Well, and here's the thing that I think the Indians were onto something there, because they were talking. He's talking about the white man's God here.
Yep.
And now he's turning it around. Instead of using their woo-ha God, or something, they're using the white man's God. They're dancing to the white man's God and saying, now people already know, the European people that came here, whatever, they're saying, what, you took this book, and now you're using it against it. Our God is going to come. We're afraid of our God. See, that's the thing I don't understand about religion is, if you're so darned afraid of your God, why are you praying to him all the time? What the heck is going on in your head that you got to be? See, and I think the people, like you said, they're so afraid because now you're going to use our God to destroy us. Oh no, our God's the most powerful one out there, and now he's going to destroy us because you're using our magic against us.
Right. Yeah, and they were terrified that whatever the savages had, they were afraid. And it's like, you're serious.
Yeah.
You're going to stop these people from dancing? But see, some of them came from Europe where there were, the Druids and folks like that. So they were like, we better not let this happen, So, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yep, the ghost dance.
He he says it really good in there. Like, yeah, you nailed the white or the God's son on the cross or whatever, and then he's pointing it blatantly out, that, hey, you did this to your God's son, and then he didn't do anything to you, But well, I think this we need some writing here. You know what I mean? But the Indians are bad. Our Indians are bad, and we need to be good. And I'm thinking, well, how do you know you're bad? What's the definition of bad for an Indian? I mean, is there? That's the whole point. They were good in their respect. Like I said, we were talking about Sitting Bull being part of the where he go help people, getting food and the white shirts or the white hearts or something like that. Well, but that's the whole thing. They did their good stuff. They didn't just go around killing everybody.
No.
They killed because they were, the white man's encroaching on their territory. And hey, I'm out in the middle of the prairie. This looks like a good spot. I'm going to build a house and fence it off, and then shoot all the buffalo, kill everything around.
And shoot all the Indians,
Yeah, and because you don't own this land. So if you come on my land, I'm going to shoot at you. Well, if you're an Indian, you're like, screw you. I mean, so
yeah, because the big thing that the native folks considered that no one owns property of Mother Earth. Mother Earth belongs to everybody. And so, this idea of fencing off places doesn't fit in their narrative. And white people just don't get that, you know, and it takes a deeper understanding. And it's like Mother Earth belongs to all of us. But then the people in power can't understand that. So natives were just roaming across the prairie and doing their thing, and you know, and no, you can't do that. You can't just be roaming around. Ooh, no. You got to be boxed in. You got to fit. You got to fit within the square. You know.
Yeah.
You got to fit in the box because we don't want nobody thinking out of the box, and you people are just roaming all over the place. You don't even have a box. You know.
Well,
you got a pouch.
Well, and that's the bad part is, you know, the white man from ages back is always box people off because they're slaves. And then you tax those slaves. And you can't tax somebody if they're not tied to anything. And so how's the government going to function if everybody's just off doing their own thing? They need structure so you can pay those taxes so that they can come find you so they know where you are and what you're doing. And that's that little bit of control, you know, like, oh, you earned a lot of money. Well, you need to pay more taxes. But how do I know you earned that money? Is because I know where you are, where you live, where your little square is, you know, whichever that may be, and who you're working for to get that extra money. And then we're going to you better account for it you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But the Indian's roaming around. He's just hunting and fishing and living a good life under the land ain't good here anymore. I'm going to move to the next spot and pack up my teepee and my house and everything, and I'm going to go over there. Well, you know, I can't control you that way because, you know, that plot of land is my neighbor's land, you know, like Sitting Bull. He went to Canada. Now we can't put him in jail. We can't just cross the border and go hunt him down. He's in Canada. It's a whole different country. We can't just do that. We have to leave him. Goodbye, Sitting Bull. You're safe. You've crossed the line, and we got to abide by the line. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you come back over here, you're going to prison. Yeah, and you know, and I guess he got the better square deal by coming back because, you know, I guess if I was him, I wouldn't want to come back either, really. But, you know, but all your people, you know, you're talking your people, all your relatives and stuff are all over here, and you want to go visit them or see them. You're getting to be an old man, you know. I mean, he was, you know, pushing 50 years old at that point. For an Indian, I suppose that's pretty darn old, you know?
And for back in those days, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he died in his 60s, so, you know, that was pretty old. I mean, even though they killed him. So, anyway. So anyway, I guess that's my spiel. I'm going to read this book for next week, and we're going to do a little more on Sitting Bull and see what he has. Maybe there's some cool stuff in there. Like I said, I just found that little spot about, you know, about the ghost dance, and that was his words on what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, because the backstory, you know, that they don't tell you. It's like, oh, you know, there was a ghost dance and they blamed it all on Sitting Bull of instigating it. Why did he instigate it? What part did he play? Well, now we know what part he played. He went and took a trip, apparently in the winter, because he said he had to go through the deep snow. And he went to a place where somebody introduced him to a guy who was speaking for God and said, listen, do this and you will bring good tidings on you and your people. And food, you know, I know you're starving. The white man is oppressing. You know, to me, it sounds like a good idea too.
Well, here's the deal. The native folks that I have met, they, like I've said before, at powwows, they always say a white man's prayer. They always say a Christian prayer. But then they always say a prayer to the Great Spirit, the Creator. And in their mind, the Christian God has a place, but the Creator is over that God. So they might be in the
Yep.
same ballpark and stuff, but the creator is the dude, and God is like a an underling of the creator, which in a lot of ways that's about true. Because you go to heaven, there's a bunch of other elders sitting up there with God. Well, where'd they come from? But anyway, so um, this idea. So when he met this Christian,
Mm-hmm.
the conversation went a little like this: Your God ain't working. You prayed to the Creator. You prayed to the Great Spirit. But maybe if you prayed to our God, you see.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's like, I'm giving you an option here. You've been praying to yours, but what about switching and pray to this guy? You know?
Yeah.
And so,
See. Yeah.
what? Go ahead.
Oh, Kiki says. She says Wavoka. Well, maybe this Wavoka was the guy. Wavoka means wood or cutter of wood, cutter of the northern Paiute. Wavoka was a numseer, holy man, and prophet of the 1890 Ghost Dance movement. Ghost Dance movement had occurred in history as a rally point to preserve traditional Native American culture as a form of resistance to U.S. policy and American culture. So maybe this is the guy that Sitting Bull went to see and impressed upon him, this is what you need to do.
Could
Don't you
be.
think? Could be. I'll have to research a little more. But according to his words, he went to see some holy man who told him the words of God. God said, Indians are bad. You got to be good. Indians are, so anyway. So there we go. A little bit. But okay. Pulling up your story for tonight. So
Okay. Let me get ready here.
yep. But like I said, it's all real interesting, on what these, we read history like, like 2D. And this is why I like history so much and getting into it is because we see it for face value, or they present it to us as face value. And then if you dig into it, it becomes 3D. It's like, why did these guys do the things they did? Why did Buffalo Bill, become the showman that he did when he was out just being a scout on the plains? It's because some guy said, hey, I'm going to write stories about you. And then he, eventually said, hey, come on and see what you can do on stage. I don't want to. And eventually did and became one of the greatest showmen in the world.
Yep.
You would have never thought of
And,
it. Like,
and a great humanitarian because of what he did for the Indians.
Absolutely.
I mean, people just, after the show last week,
yep.
I was just like, oh my gosh. And the next day, I just couldn't quit talking about Buffalo Bill. I was like, it just kind of unraveled on me. But, yeah, he started this and the rodeo and all that, and all that's fine. But in a lot of ways, though, he stopped the Indian wars because look how many people he hired.
Yes.
And he took them off the res so they couldn't bitch and complain and be in the way and be out there and where the soldiers are looking for a fight. They're looking for one of you sons of guns to get off that res. We want to chase you down. It gives us something to do. But so
can you
when
imagine all the money that those people were sending home to their relatives too? Because you got to remember they're on the road, and Buffalo Bill, he's pretty much flipping the bill for everything.
Yeah.
And the food and everything, he's supplying all this stuff for the workers. And what are you going to do with your $10? You're going to say, well, I can send 5 of it back to my relatives. That'll feed them for weeks.
Or
So,
buy something and send it home.
yes, buy
You
something and
know,
send it home. Either way.
yeah, because there was a lot. Come to think about it, there's a lot of mail order stuff done now. But you know, um, you'd get the Sears catalog or whatever, and order it and pay for it, and it'd come in the mail. It might take a month, but it'd come.
Yeah. Yes, it would. Yes,
So
absolutely, it would.
yeah, let me put the dog out before I start,
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and then
absolutely.
that way I can. Is that all the longer that story is?
Yeah, you might have to do two of them.
Yeah, we might. All right, let me put the dog out. It won't take but a minute. Come
Okay.
on, go out. Come on, Duggar, go outside.
Gotta put Thugger out. Yes, have Kitty TP. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and listening to us two old guys banter back and forth about things of past days gone by. Off the hook. Thank you. Thank you. Chloe, you drive safe getting home, and maybe Friday we're going to get together and do a little show. So everybody be looking out for that. Thank you, Chloe. I want to yeah, let's see. We got Off the Hook and we got F Kitty in the house.
Hey,
This is
Hook, how you doing? And Kitty, and I think I saw Richard in there too.
Yep, Scotty Boy's here as
Hey,
always. Thank you for being here. There's Susie Q. And how are you? And Kiki, thank you for all that update on the ghost dance. You know your stuff. Elderberry's in the house. And Navajo and Chippewa. I know. They tell me they know their heart. Jesus is the way to the Creator. Oh, maybe you should give them some updates. Uh, so let's see who else is here. Richard is in the house. Alrighty. I don't know if I missed anybody else. I'm sure I did, but I appreciate each and every one of you for being Witchy Moon, for being here tonight. Because you know what? You can't get any better than showing up here and spending the evening with us. And of course,
hanging out.
David,
We thank
yeah,
you.
David's got a great story for you all tonight.
We hope
And
so anyway.
oh, yeah, I'm gonna bow out here and let you take over, and then I will have a card tonight. I'm really excited for the card tonight
Okie
because
dokie.
I think we just had a full moon here a little while ago, so it should be an interesting one.
Oh yeah, we did over the weekend. We had a full moon.
Ah, yes. So
So our
okay,
story for tonight, at least this first one, is The Fox and the Rabbit, told by George White. The characters are Tondient, White Rabbit, and Nogoatagua, Fox. One day, a hunter was going along over a light, freshly fallen snow. His footsteps made no noise. All at once he saw a man coming toward him, and that man shouted, "I am a man-eater!" The hunter ran for his life. He circled around and around to escape, but the man followed and was gaining on him. When the hunter saw that the man was losing ground, when the hunter saw that he was losing his moccasins and said to them, "Run ahead as fast as you can." Then he lay down and became a dead rabbit, dirty and black. When the man-eater came up and saw the black, dirty old body and the fresh tracks going on, he followed the tracks. When he came to the end of the trail and saw only moccasins, he was angry and thought, "That fellow fooled me. The next time I will eat anything I see." The man-eater turned back, and sure enough, the dead rabbit was gone. He followed the tracks and soon came upon a man who sat rolling pieces of bark, making rope. He asked, "Have you seen a hunter pass?" No answer. He asked again and pushed the rope maker till he fell over. Then the rope maker said, "Someone passed just now." The man-eater hurried away. The rope maker sprang up, ran forward, made a circle, and was ahead of the man-eater. Then he turned himself into an old tree with dry limbs. When the man-eater came to the tree, he said, "Maybe he has turned himself into a tree." He punched the tree and broke off a twig that looked like a nose, but it was dead wood. "I don't think it is he," said the man-eater, and again he followed the moccasin tracks. When he overtook the moccasins, he said, "That tree was the man, and he has fooled me again." He hurried back, and when he came to where the tree had been, it was gone. And where he had thrown down the twig, there was blood. Then he knew the tree was the man, and he followed the tracks that he found there. Just as the hunter saw that his enemy was near, he chanced to come upon a dead man. He pushed the body onto the trail, and when the man-eater came up, he said, "I will eat him this time. He won't fool me again. I'll finish him." And he ate the putrid carcass. The hunter escaped. The man with the moccasins was a rabbit. The man-eater was a fox.
And there we go. Gonna do another one?
Yeah, we can. I got it ready. Here, let me get a sip of coffee.
You go right ahead. I'll put it back up here. A twofer, guys. You're getting a twofer tonight.
We're getting a twofer.
A twofer.
A warrior. A warrior cared for by wolves. The characters are Odju and Gangoioe. Among the Senecas, there was a war chief named Gangoioe. Once, with 10 men, he went on the warpath to the Cherokee country. They found the Cherokees on the watch and could do nothing. Then the chief said to his men, "I'll go along to their village." And after dark, leaving his men in the woods, he went to the Cherokee village. In the first camp that he came to, he found an old woman and her granddaughter. They didn't see him. He crept into a little place where they kept wood. After dark, the old woman said to her granddaughter, "Maybe Gangoioe is around here. I'll shut the door." And she spoke a word of warning to Odju, her granddaughter. The chief heard this. After a while, the girl said, "It is time to sleep." The chief heard this also, and heard the girl going up the ladder to sleep above, meanwhile talking with their grandmother, who was below. The old woman fastened the door of the little wood house with bark strings and fastened the chief in, leaving the door to the cabin unfastened. The old woman fastened the door of the little wood house with bark strings and fastened the chief in, leaving the door to the cabin unfastened. After waiting till the old woman was asleep, The chief went into the cabin. The fire had burned down to coals, but he could see the ladder that the girl had climbed. He went up. The girl was not asleep and was about to scream when he said, "If you scream, I'll cut off your head." The chief of this village has a daughter. If you will get her to come into the woods with you, I will spare your life. Odju said, "In the morning, as soon as the grass is dry, I will go to the chief's house and ask his daughter to come with me to gather wood." Threatening to come back and kill the girl if she failed to do as planned, the chief left the cabin. Early the next morning, Odju went to the chief's house and said to his daughter, "Come with me and gather wood." This was the custom in those days. The chief's daughter was willing to go, and they started. As soon as they came to the forest, the Seneca sprang out of his hiding place and ran toward them. Odju stood still, but the chief's daughter screamed and ran toward home. Gangoioyo caught her and scalped her, and then, giving a war whoop, ran away. Men rushed out of their cabins and pursued him. The Seneca saw that among the men following him there was one good runner. He hid in a ravine, and when the runner came to the entrance of the ravine, he shot him with an arrow, and pulling off the man's scalp, headed up before the people who were following. When the Seneca came to a second ravine, another runner was ahead of the rest. He aimed at the man, but his bowstring broke. The pursuer saw this and rushed into the ravine. The Seneca ran swiftly, but the Cherokee overtook and closed with him. A second and a third man came, and then others. They bound Gangoio, led him to the village, and summoned the people to assemble. Among the Cherokee, there were two women who were looked upon as the head women of the tribe. Each woman had two snakes tattooed on their lips. The upper jaws of the snakes were on the woman's upper lip and opposite each other, the lower jaws on the lower lip in the same way. When the women opened their mouth, the snakes seemed to open theirs. These women said, "This is the way to torment him. Tie him near a fire and burn the soles of his feet till they are blistered. Then let the water out of the blisters, put kernels of corn inside the skin, and chase him with clubs till he dies." Oh, oh no, I lost my place. Hang on. Oh, this computer went nuts. Oh, and I can't see yours. Hang on, everybody. I'm sorry. I have to be really careful with moving the page down. And somehow it just went off on its own and went to the end of the book. I'm coming, I swear. What page are we on?
We are on, let me see,
390 something or
396. The top
okay.
of 396 when Gaganowagigo's feet were blistered. 396.
I can't believe this thing went nuts on me. Oops, 398. Ooh, almost got it. I'm so sorry, folks. Once in a while you have especially doing live things. Oh yeah, okay. So let me back up a paragraph and I'll start over and hopefully this thing won't go nuts. When the women opened her mouth, the snakes seemed to open theirs. These women said, "This is the way to torment him. Tie him near a fire and burn the soles of his feet till they are blistered. Then let the water out of the blisters, put kernels of corn inside the skin, and chase him with clubs till he dies." When Gangoweoweo's feet were blistered, the women stripped him and tied a bark rope around his waist. The old man said, "I want to hold the rope." The people stood in 2 lines, and at the end of each line were many people. The Seneca had to run between the lines. He ran so fast that he pulled the rope out of the old man's hand, and then plunging to one side, he broke through the line and ran with all his strength toward the place where he had left his men. When running, he thought he was going to die, for he was naked and unarmed, far from home, and his feet were raw, but he evaded his enemies, and when night came, crept into a hollow log. In the night, he heard steps on the dry leaves and thought the Cherokees had discovered his hiding place. Whoever it was came up to the tree and said to someone who was with him, "This man is our friend." Then he called to Gangoweoweo, "You think that you are going to die, but you will not. We will take care of you. Stick out your feet." The chief put out his feet, and right away he felt someone licking them. After a while, one of the strangers said, "We have licked his feet enough. Now we must get him warm. We will go into the tree, and one of us lie down on each side of him." It was very dark in the hollow log, but the man felt someone lie down on either side of him, and soon he was so warm and comfortable that he fell asleep. Just before daylight, the strangers crept out of the log and told the man to stick out his feet. They licked them again and then said, "We have done all we can do now. You will go on until you come to a place where you put a piece of bark. Raise the bark up and you will find something under it." When the man came out of the log, he found that his feet were better. He could walk comfortably. At midday, he came to 4 posts holding up a bark roof. On the ground, under the roof, was a large piece of bark. He raised the bark and found a piece of flint, a knife, and an owl. Then he remembered that his man had put those things there a couple of years before went on a warpath. He took them and went on. When it began to grow dark, he looked for a hollow tree, found one, and crawled into it. In the night, he heard steps on the dry leaves, and a voice said, "Our friend is here." Then someone said, "Put your feet out." He did so, and again they were licked. Then the stranger said, "That is enough. We will lie near our friend and keep him warm." They went into the tree and lay down, but before daylight they crept out, and after licking the man's feet again said, "About midday you will find food." The man went on until he found a bear that apparently had been killed only a few minutes before. It was still warm. When he had skinned the bear and cut out some of the meat, he saw, not far away, a smoldering fire. He blew it, and it blazed up. He cut meat into small pieces and roasted it on sticks. When night came, he lay down, and soon he heard steps on the leaves, as he had the preceding nights. Then a voice said, "Our friend is lying down. He isn't going to die. He has plenty to eat. We will lick his feet." When they had finished, they said to him, "Nothing will happen to you now. You will reach home in safety." And they went away. When they had finished, the next morning, the man, taking some of the meat, went on toward home. That night his friends came again. They said, "Your feet are well, but you will be cold." And they lay down, one on each side of him. Before daylight, when going away, they said, "At midday you will find something to eat and to wear." The man traveled on toward midday, then found 2 young bears just killed. He skinned the bears, cooked some of the meat, tanned the skins, and lay down very tired. The next morning he made leggings of the skins, took what meat he wanted, and went on. That night the friends came to him and said, "Tomorrow you will find something to wear on your feet." About midday, the man came upon 2 fawns just killed. He tanned the skins and made moccasins. When night came, he made a fire, cooked meat, ate, and then lay down. Soon he heard a voice say, "Our friend, you will reach home tomorrow. Now we will tell you why we healed your feet and cared for you. Always when you have been off in the woods hunting and have killed game, you have given the best part of the animal to us and kept the smallest part for yourself. We are thankful. In the morning, you will see us and know who we are." When daylight came, the chief saw 2 men, as he thought. As soon as he stood up, the men took leave of him and started off. Wanting to see his friends as long as he could, he turned to look at them, and in the twinkle of an eye, he saw that one of them was a white and the other a black wolf. The chief reached home to his friends. The wolves said he would. And that's the end of the story. That was an interesting one there now.
There we go.
Just saying. Sorry for that mix-up into where I lost my place. But I'm hitting the down button on the sidebar, and I must have hit it, and it just went and went down about 50 pages. So I had to reclaim it. But that was an interesting story.
Yeah, it was.
It was. And I just want to say, I know Robert does, but I also very much appreciate every one of you. And, the fact that you come and hang out with it is very special to me. And I know it is to Robert too, but, so I went, I got the cards here. So y'all think of what you feel is necessary. Now I'm going to shuffle these puppies and we'll see.
All right. I'm surprised you don't have one already picked out.
No, I was, dealing with the dog and trying to get something to eat and listening to you and trying to keep up and, but I got the cards here. So, well, let's see what the cards have for us tonight. Ooh, let's see here. Ooh, you ain't gonna believe this.
Oh,
maybe you will.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Wolf.
Oh yeah, you just did the thing about the wolves. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we just said, white wolf and a black wolf. Pulled the wolf card, and it's upside down, but okie dokie. And I mean, it was at the front of the deck. So let me give this another spin and see if there's usually another card that wants to come out and help with the wolf.
Yep.
I can't believe that. 44 cards, and we're at the end of the story is the wolves. And what card do I pull? A wolf card. Man, the synchronicity of that. Ooh, it smells.
Oh, it's a skunk.
Ah,
skunk card.
But it's right. It's right side up. That's good.
Okay. Yeah.
And I got the rest of the deck. Let me see if there's anything else in here they want.
Off the hook just says, wow, just saw a UFO. It disappeared. Huh. That's what they usually do. It's on her porch. Just seen a UFO. A spider.
Okay, so we got our 3 cards for tonight. That's interesting. An upside down wolf and skunk right side up. And one of my favorite cards is just on the bottom. That's deer. All right.
It says, I hope one of those cards was skunk, and here it is. There it is. Da-da.
Who said that?
Chloe. She says, looking for a skunk. And here it is.
Number 15.
Okay.
Sometimes the spirits, they're like, read this card first. But tonight they're like, no, read them in order as you pulled them. I'm okay. So, wolf is the teacher. Okay. Wolf, teacher, pathfinder, moondog of my soul, howling, singing, teaching me how to know. Wolf is the pathfinder, the teacher, the forerunner of new ideas who returns to the clan to teach and share medicine. Wolf takes one mate for life and is loyal like dog. If you were to keep company with wolves, you would find an enormous sense of family. And we are family. Yep. You would, within the pack, as well as a strong individualistic urge. These qualities make wolf very much like the human race. As humans, we also have an ability to be a part of society and yet embody our individual dreams and ideas. In the great star nation, Wolf is represented by the dog star Sirius, which legend tells us was the original home of our teachers in ancient times. Remember, the dog star Sirius is out in space. Sirius was thought to be the home of the gods by the ancient Egyptians and is still considered so by the Dogon tribe of Africa. It stands to reason that native peoples could see the same thing. The senses of Wolf are very keen, and the moon is its power ally. We were talking about full moon earlier. The moon is the symbol for psychic energy or the unconscious that holds the secrets of knowledge and wisdom. Baying at the moon may be an indication of Wolf's desire to connect with new ideas, which are just below the surface of the consciousness. Now that's the basic premise. The contrary, if Wolf is reversed, you are being asked to expand your limited view of the present situation. Doing this may entail a great deal of courage and a willingness to look at new ideas. It could also require that you delete some of your old ideas to make room for the expansiveness that always comes when you are willing to learn. The gift of wisdom comes to you when you have walked enough pathways and found enough dead ends to truly know the forest. In the discovery and rediscovery of every inch of ground comes the knowledge that nothing ever remains the same. Nothing ever remains the same. When I go to the woods and go to the river, I go down the same path. It's never the same. Contrary, Wolf may also be telling you that stagnation or fear of something, or the fear of asserting your viewpoint, has bogged down the flow of change in your life. You might be like, there's a lot of things nowadays of folks are afraid to speak up, or so remember the teacher or the pathfinder may be the small, still voice within, as well as a person, a leaf, a cloud, a stone, a tree, a book, or the Great Spirit. To live is to grow, and growing comes through accepting all life forms as your teachers. Let me read that again. To live is to grow, and growing comes through accepting all of life forms as your teachers. All life forms. Become Wolf and take up the sense of adventure. You may just stop howling and learn how to become the moon. But that one sentence, to live is to grow, and growing comes through accepting all life forms as teachers. That's an interesting one. Now, the next one is skunk, number 7. And I can't remember. I think it's like respect. Number 7. Skunk. Reputation. Yeah, we all want a good reputation. Skunk, tell me your story, so I will know it well, of how to attract and how to repel. Number 7, skunk, is reputation. Skunk medicine. Go ahead and laugh. This furry little critter has a reputation that contains a great deal of power. Due to its distinctive behavior, humans give this tiny little critter and smelly critter a wide berth. The key word here is respect. And some of us have been talking about respect lately. There are some folks that they ain't got none. Not for themselves or anybody else. Unlike other predatory animals, skunk does not threaten your life, but threatens your senses. You know this because it is true that you've ever been in the vicinity of its spray. In observing the habit patterns of skunk, it is easy to notice that the playfulness and nonchalance of its natural behavior. The I dare you attitude of this four-legged creature commands you, as the observer, to respect its space by mere reputation alone. That's so true. Skunk is teaching you that by walking your talk and by respecting yourself, you will create a position of strength and honored reputation. The carriage of your body relates to others what you believe about yourself. There is no need to bully, aggravate, torment, or overpower other beings when your sense of self is intact. As with skunk, the resonant field of energy around your body is relayed through the senses. Self-esteem permeates the body's energy and is instantly recognized on an extrasensory level by others. Now are you getting that? Listen, folks, the body language is basically what we're talking about here, but that self-esteem permeates the body's energies. Think about that. Wait, I lost my place. Self-esteem permeates the body's energy and is instantly recognized on an extrasensory level by others. In other words, other people pick up your vibes. Other people pick up your moods, like skunk. But if you have a reputation with a smile on your face, then folks are going to go, "Oh, hi, Dave." If you got a reputation of being a butthole, it's going to be, "Well, there's that guy over there. Well, I ain't even going to talk to him." So learn to assert without ego what and who you are. Respect follows. Your self-respect attitude will repel those who are not of like mind, and you will attract those who choose the same pathway. As the odor of skunk attracts others of its kind, it repels those who do not respect its space. Skunk medicine people have the ability to attract others, and they are very charismatic. At the same time, the other side of their natural power is to repel those who seek to take energy from those without recycling the gifts they have taken. In skunk medicine, it is good to learn how to handle energy flows. Modern psychologists call this body language. In tribal teaching, this is your personal medicine, which you are showing to others. Use your medicine well, and knowing that you are known by your reputation. Body language. So if you're doing this little, did you see Amy, what's her name, on the stand the other day when she put her finger up and did this little thing? Oh, that was bad body language. So bear in mind that what you believe about yourself is your ultimate protection. Project self-respect. All right, now spider 43. We haven't had spider in a while. Spider is all about doing that web of life. Weaving. And this is the right side up too. Spider. Weaving webs of delight. Weave me a peaceful world. Amen. Carrying creation in your web, waiting to be unfurled. Spider is weaving. Spider wove the web that brought humans the first picture of the alphabet. The letters were part of the angles of the web. Deer asked Spider what she was weaving and why all the lines looked like symbols. Spider replied, "Why, dear, it is time for Earth's children to learn to make records of their progress in their Earth's walk." Deer answered Spider, "But they already have pictures that show through symbols the stories of their experiences." "Yes," Spider said, "but Earth's children are growing more complex, and their future generations will need to know more. The ones to come won't remember how to read the petroglyphs." So it was that Spider wove the first primordial alphabet, as she had woven the dream of the world that had become manifest. Spider's dream of the physical world had come to fruition millions of years before. Spider weaves the webs of fate for those who get caught in her web and become her dinner. This is similar to humans what get caught in the web of illusion in the physical world and never see beyond the horizon into other dimensions. The web of fate also represents a wheel of life, which does not include any alternatives or solutions. It is typically human to get caught in the polarity of good or bad fortune without realizing that we can change it at any time. Let me read that again. It is typically human to get caught in the polarity of good or bad fortune without realizing that we can change it at any time. Remember that. You can change it. You get a flat tire and you go to cussing and throwing things, or you get a flat tire and you go, "Well, dang, I knew I needed a new tire," and just change it. It is being mad or being angry or being despite the situation, that you can still be positive. The most important message from Spider is that you are an infinite being who will continue to weave the patterns of life and living throughout time. Do not fail to see the expansiveness of the eternal plan. Now, in thinking about the expansiveness, we had Wolf who said, maybe we need to, delete or get rid of some old stuff in our head and in our energy so that we can accept more. And Skunk is talking about our reputation. And so that we need to use our body language and make sure that we present ourselves. Somebody look at us and, "Well, look at that son bitch." You don't want that. I hope not. You'd be nice if folks go, "Oh, that guy look over there looks pleasant," and so folks don't feel threatened or whatever. So we can do a lot. And then Spider here is talking about weaving our life, weaving, not leaving, weaving our life. And that we can continue to weave our life and not just leave it up to the spider to do it. So, my dear friends, I thank you very much for being patient with me. And it's 2 hours. Boy, we did that right on the nose, didn't we?
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I want to say in my little, thing, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And I thank you. Uh, just keep on trucking, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You got a show tonight?
Maybe if I don't fall asleep first.
All right. Well, sounds good to me. I got to get to bed because it is time. I got to go to work tomorrow, so all is good. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you for participating, being here. We had a crowd about 15 people tonight, all night long. So good
Thank
deal.
you.
Come out to hear stories and interesting facts. So, all is good. But anyway, don't forget, people, join me on Saturday night. We're going to have a great guest. I don't know who it's going to be, but they'll be great. Don't you worry. And hopefully, if I can get Chloe conned into it, I'm going to get her on Friday night sometime or another. It'll either be here, there, or taped somehow. But Chloe, you're going to be up. And don't forget to join me and Nina the Mystic on Sunday Live on Sunday on Nina's channel, where we'll be talking about the Anunnaki. Yes, that's going to be a good one. So tune in there. And so, with all of that, I want to tell everybody go out. It's getting to be spring. Meet your neighbor. Say something nice to somebody. Do something nice for somebody. It's all about the giving and being the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love you all. Peace, everybody.
Cheers.